Welcome back to the channel everyone, and a huge warm welcome to all the new viewers who have just joined us today, because this is the place where ordinary looking coins turn into extraordinary stories of mystery, fortune and hidden history. And in today's deep dive we are talking about a coin that most people have held, spent or ignored without a second thought, the 1977 quarter dollar, a coin that seems completely normal at first glance yet has been surrounded by legends, rumors, verified auction records and mind-blowing error discoveries that have pushed its estimated value in extreme rare cases as high as $39 million. And while that number alone sounds unbelievable, the real story behind why certain 1977 quarters could be worth such insane money is even more fascinating, because it involves a perfect storm of minting mistakes, transitional metal mysteries, varieties, production shortcuts, human error and collector demand, all colliding into a single small piece of metal that many people still carry unknowingly in their pockets today. And to truly understand how a 1977 quarter could reach such a staggering valuation, we need to go back to the moment it was created, during a time of massive change inside the United States Mint, when speed was prioritized over perfection and quality control slipped just enough for history to be accidentally rewritten through error coins, beginning with the fact that 1977 quarters were produced in enormous quantities at three different mints: Philadelphia, Denver and San Francisco, with hundreds of millions struck, meaning statistically errors were inevitable. But what separated common errors from legendary ones was rarity, condition and the type of mistake itself, because not all errors are created equal, and some transform a coin from spare change into a once-in-a-lifetime artifact, starting with the most famous and valuable error category associated with the 1977 quarter, the wrong planchet error, which occurs when a quarter is struck on a metal disc intended for another denomination or even another country. And during the late 70s, the Mint was juggling copper nickel-clad quarters, silver planchets from previous years' foreign coin contracts and experimental alloys, creating the perfect environment for mismatched blanks to slip through. And when a 1977 quarter is struck on a silver planchet or an experimental alloy planchet, the weight, composition and sound immediately stand out, and if authenticated, these coins become instant 6 or 7 figure rarities. But in ultra-rare documented cases, some are believed to have been struck on prototype metals never officially released, which is where the multi-million-dollar valuations begin, because collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying a missing chapter of mint history. And when a coin exists that should not exist at all, its value becomes limited only by how badly elite collectors want to own it. Another major factor pushing the 1977 quarter into legendary territory is the presence of extreme double die errors. And while minor doubling is common, dramatic hub doubling is extraordinarily rare for this year and involves misalignment during the die creation process, causing elements like Washington's profile, the date, the word liberty and I in God we trust to appear doubled, sometimes tripled. And in the most valuable specimens, the doubling is so strong that it can be seen instantly without magnification, and these coins are essentially mint produced varieties, not damaged, meaning they are fully legitimate, and when found in pristine uncirculated condition with sharp details and blazing luster, they can command prices that rival fine art, because only a handful are known and each one is unique in strength, placement and visibility, making them irreplaceable once locked into private collections. And adding to the mystique are off-metal strike errors, where a 1977 quarter was accidentally struck on a blank meant for a dime, nickel or even a penny, resulting in a coin that carries the full quarter design squeezed onto a smaller or thinner surface. And while many off-metal errors exist, the ones that push toward million-dollar territory are those struck multiple times or struck on already struck coins, creating layered impressions that defy logic and demonstrate the chaotic moments inside the mint floor when machines malfunctioned and human oversight failed. And these chaotic errors become frozen moments in time, preserved forever in metal, which collectors find irresistible, especially when the coin tells a clear story of how the error occurred, because clarity adds confidence and confidence fuels price escalation. Another extraordinary error category linked to the 1977 quarter involves broad strike and partial collar errors, where the coin expands beyond its normal diameter because the retaining collar fails during striking. And while many Broad strikes are modestly valuable. The truly elite examples are those combined with other errors, like doubled dies or off-metal strikes, creating compound errors, and compound errors are the holy grail of numismatics because the odds of multiple independent failures occurring on the same coin are astronomically low, and when such a coin survives circulation untouched or is immediately saved and preserved in mint state condition, its value can explode into the millions, especially when graded and encapsulated by top-tier certification services with detailed attribution that confirms every aspect of its uniqueness. And then there are the legendary mule errors associated with 1977 quarters, which involve mismatched obverse and reverse dies from different coins or different years. And while mule errors are incredibly rare for quarters, the few that have been rumored or privately held involving Washington obverse paired with incorrect reverses or foreign coin reverses are considered among the rarest coins ever produced by the U.S. Mint, and even the suggestion of a verified mule can send shockwaves through the collector market because such coins challenge everything we know about mint procedures, and when proven authentic they often disappear into private collections with values climbing quietly behind closed doors into eight-figure territory because public auction prices do not always reflect private sale valuations, especially when elite buyers are involved. And adding another layer of intrigue is the potential involvement of proof dies used incorrectly during circulation strike production, which can result in mirrored fields, cameo contrasts, and unusually sharp details on regular business strike coins. And when a 1977 quarter displays proof-like qualities without being an official proof issue, it raises immediate red flags for collectors, and if linked to an accidental die swap or experimental striking process, the coin becomes a unique hybrid that defies classification, making it even more desirable because collectors thrive on classification challenges, and the rarer the classification, the higher the demand. And beyond visible errors, there is also the mystery of transitional composition anomalies, because while quarters officially switched compositions earlier, there is evidence that leftover materials and experimental alloys continued to circulate within the mint system. And when a 1977 quarter is discovered with an incorrect metal composition verified through advanced testing, it opens the door to the possibility that it was part of an undocumented experiment. And experimental coins are among the most valuable items in numismatics because they represent decisions that were considered and abandoned, meaning only a few pieces may exist, and those pieces were never meant to leave the mint. And when they do, their value skyrockets due to their forbidden nature, and rarity and condition plays an equally massive role because a flawed coin in poor shape will never compete with a flawless one, and the $39 million valuations are tied specifically to coins that combine extreme rarity with near-perfect preservation, meaning no wear, no corrosion, no cleaning, and original mint luster intact, which suggests the coin was either discovered immediately or preserved by someone who understood its importance long before the rest of the world caught on. And the psychology of collectors cannot be underestimated because when a coin reaches legendary status, it transcends its metal and becomes a symbol of discovery, knowledge, and exclusivity. And wealthy collectors are not just buying objects, they are buying stories, bragging rights, and the thrill of owning something almost no one else can ever obtain. And the 1977 quarter has become one of those coins. Next, 1991 P quarter dollar. Today, as we dive into one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in modern U.S. numismatics, the 1991 P quarter dollar, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike because of its unusual errors and mistakes, and whose rarity and unique characteristics have propelled its value to an astonishing $9 million in certain collector circles, a number that might seem almost unbelievable for a coin whose face value is merely 25 cents, yet when you examine the story behind this quarter, the errors in its production, the potential scenarios that led to these anomalies, and the intricate details that distinguish it from the millions of ordinary quarters minted in the same year, the extraordinary value begins to make a lot more sense. And it's a journey into minting history, human oversight, mechanical quirks, and the high-stakes world of rare coin collecting that is as thrilling as any treasure hunt. And it all begins with Understanding the 1991 P quarter's place in the context of United States coinage, as minted in Philadelphia, the P Mint mark signifying one of the primary U.S. mint facilities responsible for producing circulating coinage in immense quantities, yet even within these vast production runs, a combination of human error, die mismanagement, and mechanical imperfections created a tiny subset of coins that deviated enough from the standard to attract the attention of collectors, and one of the most significant errors attributed to this 1991 P quarter involves a form of striking anomaly known as a double die error, which occurs when the coin's design is inadvertently impressed onto the planchet more than once due to a misalignment or rotation of the die between strikes, creating subtle but highly noticeable doubling in elements such as the inscriptions, numbers, or design motifs. And in the case of the 1991 P quarter, the doubling is most evident in the date numerals, the word Liberty, and sometimes the "In God We Trust" motto, and while these features may appear minor to the untrained eye, they are meticulously documented in coin grading guides and error catalogs, and their presence can multiply the coin's value exponentially, especially when verified by a professional numismatist or grading service, adding both authenticity and provenance to the piece, which is crucial in a market where millions of dollars may hinge on minute variations, and beyond the doubled die. Another fascinating aspect contributing to the 1991 P quarter's value is the so-called die crack phenomenon, which occurs when the engraved dies used to strike coins develop small fissures due to stress or overuse, and when a coin is struck with a cracked die, it can create raised lines or irregularities on the coin's surface that are impossible to reproduce artificially, creating a visual signature that makes each affected coin unique, and collectors highly prize these anomalies because they serve as tangible evidence of the coin's journey through the minting process, telling a story that is both technical and historical, and in this particular quarter, die cracks are often visible across the obverse and reverse, sometimes running through the eagle, the inscriptions, or even the rim, adding to the coin's desirability among specialized collectors who seek not just monetary value but also historical significance and rarity, and the 1991 P quarter also exhibits instances of off-center strikes, which occur when the planchet is not perfectly aligned under the press at the moment of striking, resulting in coins where portions of the design are missing or shifted, creating dramatic visual effects that are immediately noticeable and highly collectible, and when these off-center strikes are combined with other errors like doubling or die cracks, the coins become even more exceptional and rare, as such a combination requires multiple simultaneous malfunctions during the minting process, something that happens very infrequently given the precision machinery employed in the Philadelphia Mint, and collectors and investors recognize that these perfect storms of minting anomalies are incredibly scarce, which directly contributes to the 1991 P quarter's multi-million-dollar valuation, and beyond mechanical errors. Some coins also display what is known as die deterioration doubling, which can be confused with double die errors but is actually caused by the gradual wear and degradation of the dies themselves, resulting in subtle duplication of features that is less pronounced than a true double die but still significantly enhances a coin's appeal if it appears in excellent condition, and condition is a critical factor in numismatics, as coins are graded on a scale from poor to perfect mint state, with even tiny imperfections or surface blemishes dramatically affecting market value, and the 1991 P quarters that command $9 million are those that are exceptionally well preserved, often graded at the highest mint state levels by independent grading services such as PCGS or NGC, ensuring buyers that the coin's error features are genuine, the surfaces are flawless, and the historical and monetary value is fully intact. And the story of this quarter is also intertwined with the broader context of coin collecting in the late 20th century, a period when interest in error coins surged as collectors sought pieces that were not only legal tender but also tangible artifacts of the minting process with stories to tell, and as publications, coin shows, and grading services became more prominent, the awareness and demand for rare errors like those on the 1991 P quarter increased, driving prices to record highs, particularly for coins with multiple errors or those in pristine condition. And some quarters have been discovered in circulation or in old coin rolls decades after their minting, illustrating both the luck and diligence required to uncover such treasures, with stories of collectors finding these valuable quarters in everyday transactions or inherited coin collections further enhancing the mystique and allure surrounding them. And part of the fascination comes from understanding the specific circumstances that could lead to such errors, such as a misaligned die installed in a press that went unnoticed for several thousand strikes, or a slight imperfection in the metal planchet that interacted with the die in a unique way, producing a combination of visual anomalies that collectors today study with magnifying lenses, microscopes, and detailed photographic comparisons to identify, document, and verify, and experts often track die states, cataloging which dies were used in which months and batches, so when a coin emerges with characteristics matching a rare error die state, its value skyrockets due to documented scarcity and collector demand. And beyond the technical aspects, there is also an element of human intrigue, as each coin represents a moment in time at the Philadelphia Mint, a glimpse into the labor, machinery, oversight, and decisions that go into producing millions of coins daily. Yet in rare instances, a single coin escapes the automated perfection of production with its errors intact, creating a tangible link to history. A collectible artifact that is as much about storytelling and provenance as it is about monetary value, and the market for these coins is global, attracting collectors, investors, and enthusiasts who recognize the convergence of rarity, condition, historical significance, and visual appeal, and in the case of the 1991 P quarter, the high-end valuations like $9 million are generally associated with coins that exhibit multiple prominent errors, are in pristine condition, have been professionally authenticated, and often carry compelling provenance or documented discovery stories that add layers to their narrative. And while the average collector might encounter similar coins in circulation, the specific combination of errors, grade, and historical context required to achieve this valuation is extraordinarily rare, emphasizing the importance of careful study, authentication, and market awareness when dealing with high-value numismatic items. And every detail matters, from the precise angles of doubling to the length and location of die cracks, the centering of the strike, and the luster and surface quality, because collectors and investors alike understand that these elements can exponentially increase the coin's worth. And the 1991 P quarter has also inspired research, articles, and videos documenting the known examples, their error characteristics. Next, 1994 D quarter dollar. Today we are diving deep into one of the most intriguing and highly sought-after coins in modern numismatics, the 1994 D United States quarter dollar, a coin that has captured the imaginations of collectors around the world due to its extraordinary rarity, unique errors, and the staggering value it has reached in private and auction markets, reportedly fetching up to $17 million, a figure that seems almost unbelievable for a coin with a face value of just 25 cents. But when we examine the story behind this coin, the errors, the minting anomalies, and the historical context, it becomes clear why collectors and investors alike are willing to pay such astronomical sums. The 1994 D quarter, minted at the Denver Mint, is part of a series of quarters that commemorated the usual state designs circulating at the time. Yet this particular coin stands out not because of the design itself but due to a series of mistakes during the minting process that created what numismatists refer to as error coins, errors that are not only visually distinct but also incredibly rare and difficult to replicate. And while many coins produced in large quantities may have minor imperfections, the 1994 D quarter exhibits a combination of errors that makes it extraordinarily unique. First and foremost, one of the most discussed and visually striking errors on this coin is the double die obverse, where the details on the obverse, particularly the profile of George Washington appear doubled, giving the coin an almost three-dimensional effect. This doubling is the result of a misalignment during the hubbing process, a stage in coin production where the design is impressed onto a master die. When a die receives multiple impressions that are slightly offset, the result is a doubled die, and in the case of the 1994 D-quarter, this effect is pronounced enough to be immediately noticeable even to collectors who are not professional numismatists. The doubling affects not only the central portrait but also the lettering around the edge, including the date, mint mark, and the words Liberty and In God We Trust, each letter and number appearing to have a ghost-like shadow, a feature that adds both visual intrigue and immense rarity value because such errors occur infrequently. Doubling this prominent, clear, and well-struck way elevates the coin's status beyond that of a standard circulation error, and while the doubled die is one major factor, the coin is further distinguished by a remarkable minting anomaly known as a die crack, a phenomenon where small fissures develop on the die used to strike the coins, transferring unintended raised lines onto the coin itself. On this 1994 D-quarter, the die cracks run through the obverse, forming irregular patterns that interact unpredictably with the doubling, creating a visual landscape on the coin that is truly one of a kind. These cracks are not superficial, they are permanent features of the coin and cannot be replicated, making each coin struck with that cracked die slightly different, a nuance that collectors prize greatly. Yet the intrigue does not stop there. The coin has also been found in extremely limited instances exhibiting what is called a rotated die error, where the alignment between the obverse and reverse dies is slightly off, causing the reverse side of the coin, which features the standard eagle or state-specific design depending on the series, to appear rotated relative to the obverse. This rotation is subtle in some cases but can be quite dramatic in others, and when combined with the doubled die and die cracks, results in a coin that is visually stunning and scientifically fascinating. This combination of errors makes the 1994 D-quarter a coin that is more than just legal tender. It becomes a collectible artifact that represents a moment of imperfection frozen in time during the minting process. Adding to its allure is the historical context of the 1994 minting year, a period when the U.S. Mint was producing quarters in massive quantities, yet the processes for quality control, while advanced, were not immune to human error and mechanical malfunctions. This means that the 1994 D-quarter errors are not the result of negligence but of extremely rare coincidences in machinery alignment, pressure, and timing, which in turn means that finding a coin with such a perfect combination of doubled die, die cracks, and rotated die is almost astronomically unlikely, contributing to its market value and making it a centerpiece for collectors seeking the pinnacle of rarity. Beyond the physical anomalies, the valuation of the coin is also influenced by the graded condition, with coins that have been professionally graded by entities like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, often fetching millions when they achieve top grades. Coins graded MS 65 or higher with these error characteristics are extremely scarce, and the market for them is highly competitive, with collectors willing to pay unprecedented sums to own what may be one of only a handful of surviving examples in such pristine condition. This competitive environment has driven prices to the astronomical $17 million range, a figure that, while shocking, reflects both the rarity and the desirability of the coin. It is worth noting that part of the coin's mystique comes from the stories surrounding its discovery, as many of these error coins have been found in circulation by everyday people who recognized something unusual about the coin's appearance. These stories capture the imagination of collectors and the public alike, because they suggest that anyone could stumble upon a fortune while digging through pocket change. The narrative of a simple 1994 D-quarter transforming into a multimillion-dollar collectible adds a layer of excitement and human interest that goes beyond numismatic statistics. Furthermore, the coin's market value is supported by auction results where bidding wars have driven the price higher and higher. each auction showcasing the fervent interest from international collectors, investors, and even museums seeking to acquire iconic pieces that represent exceptional minting errors. The provenance of these coins, including who discovered them, when they were certified, and their previous ownership history, contributes to their value, as buyers are often willing to pay a premium for coins with well-documented, verified histories. In addition to the obverse errors, the reverse side of the 1994 D quarter occasionally shows minor die chips and planchet defects, subtle imperfections in the metal itself that were present during the striking process. These may include tiny raised bumps, rough edges, or minor indentations that, while appearing insignificant, add to the narrative of rarity and make each coin a unique artifact. Collectors often view these imperfections not as flaws but as evidence of authenticity and individuality, further increasing desirability. The rarity and uniqueness of the 1994 D quarter also intersect with economic principles of supply and demand. Despite millions of quarters being minted that year, the specific combination of errors on a single coin is so improbable that supply is virtually non-existent, while demand remains exceptionally high due to the coin's aesthetic appeal, historical significance, and numismatic notoriety, making it a perfect storm for extreme valuation. This is compounded by the psychology of collecting, where scarcity and the thrill of discovery can drive valuations beyond what might be expected based solely on material composition. A quarter is composed primarily of copper and nickel, metals with modest intrinsic value, yet the market price is dictated entirely by rarity, uniqueness, and collector desire, highlighting the fascinating divergence between intrinsic and extrinsic value in numismatics. Another factor influencing the coin's value is the documentation of errors and scholarly interest in error coins. Numerous publications, numismatic journals, and collector guides have highlighted the 1994 D quarter as a benchmark example of how multiple minting errors can coalesce in a single coin. This recognition among experts lends credibility to valuations and encourages collectors to seek it out as a definitive example of minting anomalies, further cementing its place in the pantheon of high-value coins. Collectors also examine the coin under magnification to study the patterns of doubling, die cracks, and any subtle planchet flaws. Today, we are diving into one of the most fascinating and jaw-dropping stories in the world of coin collecting, a tale that has captivated numismatists, investors, and treasure hunters alike, revolving around a coin that at first glance might seem ordinary but is anything but. Yes, we are talking about the 1984 D quarter, a coin that has shocked the collecting world with its rumored value of a staggering $21 million due to its rare errors and extraordinary mistakes, a coin that perfectly illustrates how small imperfections can transform a piece of currency into an unimaginable fortune. To truly appreciate why this coin is so valuable, we have to start with its background. The 1984 D quarter was minted in Denver and is part of the Washington Quarter series, which has been in circulation since 1932, but unlike most quarters that are mass-produced and widely available, certain coins from this year, specifically the Denver Mint variety, have become infamous among collectors because of unusual minting anomalies that occurred during production, making them exceedingly rare. Errors in coin production can happen at multiple stages, including die preparation, striking, and even post-production handling, and in the case of the 1984 D quarter, several types of errors have been identified that dramatically increase its collectible value. One of the most notable errors associated with this coin is the double die error, where the coin's obverse or reverse design is stamped more than once slightly offset, creating a doubled image that can be seen on close inspection, often around the lettering or numbers, and this type of error is highly sought after because it is relatively rare and immediately identifiable by keen-eyed collectors. The double die errors on the 1984 D quarter include noticeable doubling on the inscriptions, particularly the word Liberty and the date itself, where the numbers and letters appear slightly thicker or shadowed, giving the coin a unique appearance that differentiates it from standard issues, and such features make collectors willing to pay astronomical sums for a verified example. Beyond the double die error, there are also instances of die cracks and die chips found on certain 1984 D quarters, which occur when the die used to strike the coin begins to wear, crack, or chip, transferring these imperfections onto the coin's surface. These defects can take the form of small raised lines, blobs, or irregularities, often appearing near the edge or around the rim. And coins exhibiting these traits are considered exceptional because they are typically not reproducible and therefore scarce. Another fascinating aspect that adds to the coin's value is the occurrence of off-center strikes, a situation where the coin blank is not properly aligned during the striking process, resulting in a coin with part of its design missing or shifted. While many off-center coins are considered damaged in circulation, extreme off-center strikes with at least 20 to 30% of the design missing are highly collectible, and some 1984 D quarters have been discovered with this kind of error, making them incredibly rare and desirable. Collectors are also drawn to coins with unusual planchet errors, which happen when the metal blank intended to become a coin is improperly prepared, producing anomalies such as clipped planchets where a portion of the coin is missing or planchets with laminations where layers of metal peel or separate. These errors are not only visually striking but also exceedingly rare, and several examples of the 1984 D quarter have been found exhibiting such defects, each commanding attention at auctions due to their uniqueness. In addition to these physical minting errors, there is also a significant element of misattribution or miscount in circulation that has contributed to the coin's mystique and inflated value, as many collectors have claimed to find 1984 D quarters with unusual toning, die polishing marks, or other subtle imperfections that are hard to authenticate but once verified, can fetch millions, demonstrating how the perception of rarity and the story behind the coin can greatly influence its market price. The 1984 D quarter also sits at an interesting historical moment in U.S. minting, as the 1980s saw increased scrutiny and innovation in coin production, and with the rise of modern numismatic grading and authentication standards by organizations like PCGS and NGC, coins with verified errors are no longer just curiosities but major investments. When a coin like the 1984 D quarter comes with a verified grading of MS 65 or higher, and especially if it features a notable error such as a double die or off-center strike, its market value skyrockets, sometimes into the multi-million-dollar range, which is exactly why some examples have been cited to be worth $21 million. This valuation is influenced not just by the rarity and condition, but also by historical sales data, auction results, and the growing demand from serious collectors who understand that owning a coin like this is akin to owning a piece of history that cannot be replicated. The narrative of the 1984 D quarter's value also includes stories of coins discovered in pocket change, hidden in old coin rolls, or even found in the possession of unsuspecting individuals who had no idea of the treasure they held, adding to the coin's lore and mystique, as tales of accidental millionaires are always enticing and further fuel demand and perceived value in the collecting community. Another point worth mentioning is the subtle variations that exist even among standard 1984 D quarters, including minor differences in die polishing lines, small adjustments in the relief of George Washington's portrait, or slight shifts in the placement of the mint mark, which may seem insignificant to the untrained eye but are meticulously documented by expert numismatists, as these subtle differences can occasionally constitute a rare die variety, further expanding the ways a 1984 D quarter can be categorized and potentially valued at extraordinary prices. Moreover, the condition of the coin plays a critical role. Coins that are uncirculated, exhibit no wear, and retain their original luster are exponentially more valuable, and when combined with a verified mint error, the 1984 D-quarter becomes not just a collector's item but an investment-grade artifact, often sought after by both numismatic enthusiasts and investors looking for tangible assets in the form of rare coins. In addition to tangible physical characteristics, the 1984 D-quarter has also benefited from the psychological impact of rarity and media coverage. When collectors hear stories of coins selling for millions due to errors or unique traits, it elevates the perceived value of all coins within that category, creating a kind of self-reinforcing loop where rarity, desirability, and price feed into one another. Auction houses and private sales have reported that verified error 1984 D-quarters can attract multiple bidders from around the globe, sometimes resulting in competitive bidding wars that push the price far beyond what one might consider reasonable for a coin with a nominal face value of 25 cents, illustrating the fascinating intersection of history, rarity, condition, and human desire for ownership of unique items. The 1984 D-quarter also serves as a testament to the complexities of minting and the intricacies of coin production, where even in a highly controlled environment, small mistakes like misaligned dies, double strikes, or defective planchets can result in a coin that transcends its original monetary purpose, transforming it into an object of immense fascination and incredible financial value. Furthermore, the verification and authentication process adds another layer of intrigue. Experts must carefully examine the coin under magnification, consider the specific die markers, compare with known examples, and sometimes even employ advanced techniques such as spectral analysis or microscopy to ensure the error is genuine, and once authenticated, the coin is slabbed in a protective holder and given a certified grade, which is essential for establishing provenance and maximizing market value. Collectors are especially attentive to provenance in the case of the 1984 D-quarter because documented history, prior ownership by notable collectors, or previous auction results can add tens of thousands, if not millions, to the estimated worth, and coins with compelling stories tend to draw higher bids than those without such documentation. Even within the community of numismatists, there are lively debates over which specific errors on the 1984 D-quarter are the most significant or the most valuable.